Alright, this is part one of my Redneck Corydora breeding hatchery breeding tank. That's what I'm going to call it. So the plan is I'm going to turn this into a breeding tank using this and eggs from this Corydora tank. You can see I got some nice, you can see one in there, I got some nice emerald cories in here. This is a very well established tank. You can see them skittering around back there. They're wild caught cories. There they are. They're cool little catfish. And I want to make a breedery out of them, or a hatchery, or whatever, breeding tank, because they lay tons of eggs. I feed them a lot. They eat these little snail things. So the plan is, I'm going to take them from that tank, eggs from that tank, put it in this tank with some moss, water from that tank. But first, we got to make sure that light doesn't fall in the tank, and I've got to clean the tank. So let me go clean the tank, and I'm going to cut out a little hole from this here, and I'm going to go print some... I'm going to go in my 3D printer and print some little brackets to hold it on like that. Alright, so I got some moss. I got some Java moss. Got some Java moss in there with some nice wisteria. This is I'm not even going to go on them. Alright, so I've gotten the Java moss and wisteria along with about, I don't know, 4 or 5 gallons of water. This is a 29 maybe, I don't know, I forget. So yeah, and then I'm gonna take some from this tank, and then I'm gonna take some from this tank, all just to make a good bacteria culture. So yeah, let me go do that. I gotta find a permanent spot. I was thinking back here, because I don't have an extra heater. Actually I do, so I lied. But I was thinking I could put it here, because this here broken heater, yeah, I was thinking I could put it here because this might act as a good heater, because Corydoras don't really need to be heated. I have a whole bunch of crap back here. I got like a bike helmet, but this is also right next to the door. But I was thinking that might be a good place. I also have electrical right nearby with a breaker on it, so that might be a better option. Alright, alright, then the other thing I gotta do is I gotta cut a hole. So let me go cut this hole. Alright, so I scored this out. So basically it's just this light's just gonna go on here like that. Then I'm gonna 3D print a diffuser. The diffuser's gonna sit on the inside. I'm gonna epoxy it, or I'll just use aquarium cement or something. Now another thing I forgot is I'm gonna have to be putting some substrate in here. You can see that I drained water from that tank, put it into there. I think I already showed that, but I gotta put substrate in there because these Corydoras, they're not going to do it. They're kind of doing it. They go through the substrate here. That's why I have about an inch of substrate, and they go through the substrate, and it comes out of their gills, and they fly through the substrate and look for little morsels of food, right? And so yeah. And so I got to put substrate. So what I'm going to use. I'm going to use the substrate that I used in this goldfish tank. The substrate, it's really dirty, but it was actually white when I got it. You can see there's my little goldfish guy. Fantal, I think? Anyways, I'm going to be using the substrate, this substrate in here. I'm only going to put a little bit of it, but they do need substrate because they like to dig. And, I mean, the fry are going to be in a box. I have a breeder box that I 3D printed. It's clear, it has holes in it. Anyways, so yeah, so I gotta put substrate, and I gotta cut that. So as it turns out, cutting this plastic is a lot harder than I thought. I broke my razor blade, getting about that much done. I broke a razor blade right in half. It just sheared. I don't know where the fuck it went in a low Earth orbit. So I tried burning it. Now the room's filled with smoke. Tried using a soldering iron with a cutting tip, but it seems like the plastic just went into the element, which is great. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to cut it. You can see how much progress I got with the hot knife. This is kind of a mess though. I got to get a cloth of some sort. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Got to figure out how to cut this. Might just go get the chop saw and do it that way, or get a jigsaw or something. Actually, I think I have a miter. I might just go use the miter. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now. It seems like the hardest part of this project is cutting the damn lid. Alright, so I got the hole cut. It does fit. If I get this. So there's this filter comes off. That buffer thing. Beautiful. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. I'll make some mounts on that side. Obviously, this is the side that's going to be in the tank. Then I'm going to make either a diffuser to keep the water out of the electronics, or I'll put plastic wrap or something other on it. Yeah, so I got this milfucky hacksaw, and then the blade bent, so I ended up just taking the blade off, and using these gloves and just doing it by hand. It worked out well. I mean, you can kind of see where the blade's cut. You can see where the blade cut, and then you can see where I burned it. So, yeah, if you are going to do this, make sure you're using a shitty one, or else the plastic is super thick on these. Or have tools that actually work. Alright, so I have the tub filled with some water. Dechlorinated it using API stress coat. I'm gonna go grab my pump. This is what I'm gonna be using for air. It is a Dr. X aquarium pump. It's from like the 90s or early 2000s. It melted. You can see where it melted. See, this is very hard plastic, but it got too warm and melted, and then the cord went through it and melted. So it's seen some better days, but for this purpose, it does still work. It's quite loud. Oh, that one's... But it does produce air, and I just gotta go grab some lines that are gonna fit this, and this will be our air source. I'm gonna put it behind there because my bed is right here, and it's gonna be way too loud. But yeah, it should quiet down. It ain't too loud, and this should provide enough flow. It's not as big as my. It's not gonna provide as much flow as that pump over there. That's at 80. That's an 80 turn down. But it should provide as much flow as the 5 or the 10 I have right there. So, I'm going to install this and we'll be right back. Alright, I got air going. It's not a ton of air. You can see I'm using a little bluestone. I might up that to an elongated one. But I think the pump's doing its job. I got a check valve going because this is a kind of recipe for disaster going here. Because it has melted in the past, I'm gonna have it hooked up to a surge protector that's hooked up to a GFCI, or nope, not a GFCI, don't care. And then it's hooked up to an extension cord. So it should be going good. It is providing pretty good air. I'm not putting fish in this tank right now. I might get a non-aquatic grade air pump if I'm gonna turn this into a pond. But I think for raising fry, it's gonna be fine because the basket I have goes right in this corner right here. I'm not gonna fill it up anymore because these holes, and if it splashes around, it might because these holes right here, if it splashes around, it might go out of the holes and whatnot. So now I gotta go drill a hole in this thing for the air, and then I've gotta find a piece of clear plastic or something to put on this hole so that that it don't get electrocuted. I'm gonna go do that. Alright, so the Redneck Corydora breeding setup is finally finished. I guess I'll just give you the grand tour. So it's located right next to my eating area, although there's chemicals and electronics. I got this Raspberry Pi screen. Not really much of a food preparation area anymore. Anyways, I digress. For power, for features, we got air. We got that air pump down there. I gotta make sure that that's not getting too hot. It's cold. This basement gets cold, so heating shouldn't be a problem. We got this plugged into here. We got the air pump plugged in. And then we got this light plugged in on a timer, of course. It's on the same timer that my other tanks are on. Inside, you can see that there is very ample lighting, covered by this this layer of wisteria and Java moss. The light itself is a workbench light. I just shocked myself. It's a workbench light. I just removed the thingy from it. Then this right here, hot glued this with a little bit of hot glue and then some melted plastic from the soldering iron. And this is actually a cupcake container. I just cut it out and it's watertight. I put some water in this and it's watertight, and it provides pretty good light actually, given it is redneck. You can see that's what it looks like when it's closed. I'm not going to put my phone in there because my phone probably has soap on it, and you get the air coming in the back. I think I did pretty good given that this setup is free. This was laying on the side of the road. I think that's where we got it, or I was just in the garage. We have like 10 of them. And yeah, so I'm going to use this to breed Corydora. I forgot these are emerald cories. I showed them earlier. They're these little catfish guys, and they lay tons of eggs. Like some mornings, I'll come out and there'll just be this whole thing covered in eggs. I'm also thinking of turning it into a goldfish pond for breeding goldfish, although I know that's really difficult. And yeah, so I think that this build turned out really well. And if you're going to be building it, a few things. First of all, make sure your container is thick enough. Make sure it's also not brittle, because if it's not thick enough or brittle, it's going to crack and there's going to be water everywhere. This is a name brand. It's a Sterilite brand, so it's actually gonna. It's not like I could kick it. Not gonna kick it, but it's like not all flimsy. It's actually holding its own. The water isn't pushing on it. Another thing to note, you do want to have a barrier between your light. You can already see there. You can already see some water splash, and if that was to go on the light, this unshielded light, that would short out your whole circuit. I would also recommend having it on a surge protector in case any of your redneckery goes wrong, which it probably is. So I would just recommend having that on that. I'm going to let this cycle for about 2 weeks. I'm going to put this video up now, and I'm going to do an update when I actually get some frying here. So thank you for watching. Make sure to stay tuned if you want to see this thing actually work. I know people are going to say, "Oh, it's not going to work. This plastic's going to poison them. The cupcake residue from the container is going to kill the fish." No, it's not. People need to stop spending hundreds of dollars on aquariums. Just build yourself one of these. Thank you for watching. See you next time.